Welcome to the Traveling Golfer. Today we're going to give you the gears. I am Mike. Right there is Claudio DeMarchi. He is the Traveling Golfer. You'll find him at travelinggolfer.net. How are you, my friend?
I'm very good. How about you?
Good. I'm hungry now that I was talking about your culinary talents.
Well, you're just going to have to get over it.
Traveling
or make a trip up to Collingwood.
Traveling Golfer 23 is the Instagram handle. And if you thought you were hungry before you went on Instagram, check out his stories as he cooks up a storm and serves all the wine. And by the way, you'll even see some golf on there.
Absolutely. There is a little bit of golf here and there, and you might even see some equipment sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And you just never know what you're going to find.
On today's show, we are indeed talking about golf equipment, and we'll get to that as well as the wine cellar, where Claudio reviews a couple of bottles of vino and or some of the spirits out there that he enjoys and serves with this wonderful cooking that we talked about. Don't forget to subscribe to this show, friend. Go ahead and hit the notification bell right there on YouTube if that's where you're listening, and you'll know that there's a new show out every time. And visit travelinggolfer.net for all kinds of great content and even some contests.
That's right. And you got it right for the second time in a row.
Hey, take it easy, man. I'm a new man.
I know.
My memorization is through the roof.
Absolutely.
Listen, thank you very much, by the way, for all the fun that we're having up to this point. And to everybody that's listened and had interaction with us, you're a great group of people. It feels like a family. So, welcome aboard. It's delightful to keep doing this show.
It is. And let's just keep growing that family.
Yes. Tell a friend. Go ahead. Subscribe. Let us know if there's somebody out there you need us to shout out. We'll even do that to win them over. And by the way, hello, Bobby. Congratulations on your golf game. It'd be like that, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll shout you out.
Yeah.
Any old time.
That's right. We will.
Who do we have in today? What are we doing?
Well, we're going to go away from travel for a change, and we are going to welcome back an old friend who's been on the show, Don Hazel.
Don Hazel, whose hair I wish I had.
President of Golf Trends, now for over 35 years, one of the largest and most high-profile Canadian golf equipment distributors.
Don, has it been that long?
Since 87, so I think we're 34 years.
Wow. That's incredible. Well, congratulations, man.
Well, thank you very much.
Yes, I had black hair when we started, when I started hanging out with Don.
You did?
I did.
I can't even imagine that.
Yeah, but...
Well, that's how life goes. You're a better golfer now, I bet.
I have... You know what? The best golf of my life probably has been in the last 4 or 5 years. It all happened... the change, I think, happened back in January when, not this year, but several years ago, when I received a Hot Launch 3 driver from Touridge.
You've talked about this before, how it turned your game around.
It did.
Yeah.
I was all of a sudden I was never one who could hit par 5s and 2, but all of a sudden with that driver, I was.
Amazing.
Yeah. And Don's going to kind of give us a little bit more on Touridge and introduce a special guest that we have. Don?
Don, over to you.
Well, thank you, guys. First of all, I just want to make a little announcement. Golf Trends and our two keystone suppliers, Touridge Golf and Dynamic Brands, which is the Bag Boy line of bags, carts, travel covers, ball retrievers, are joining forces. With their assistance. We are all becoming sponsors of the Traveling Golfer podcast.
Yay!
Welcome aboard.
Well,
and
thank
the
you.
digital platform as well. We're
Yes.
just more than just podcast.
Well, for sure. And I think this support will enable some contests to be offered throughout the year with thousands of dollars of great Touridge Bag Boy products. So I think your listeners will really enjoy that.
That's awesome, Don. Well, thank you for joining on board and having some faith in the program. The last time, I always thank the listeners whenever we can, just because it's because of the listeners of the show that guys like you are interested in bringing their brands in. So anything we can offer in the way of contests and giving back, That sounds like a great idea to me.
And it's going to make it fun.
Yeah.
And, keep them, keep their attention. And then they're going to end up using some very good product.
Nice. All right. Well, welcome aboard.
Well, thank you very much. Just so you know, guys, we have a special guest today. We have the Executive Vice President of Touridge Golf, John Craig. John will be sharing some background on where Touridge is today and where it's going in the future. And I'm really looking forward to everybody hearing this. I've heard it, but I think that it's a great story.
Excellent.
And I just can't believe how Touridge keeps coming up with better and better product every year. It just makes the game more enjoyable and keeps us wanting to play. Yeah. So I want to thank John and company for that.
These are tools that dissuade you from discouragement. If you can have a better game, you're going to play more often. And that, of course, becomes a cycle of bettering your game overall. So, yeah, having better tools, better clubs in the bag makes a big difference to how much you can enjoy the game.
Well, we're looking forward to what Touridge is offering in 2021. They've just introduced a new line, the Hot Launch C521 and E521. I'm sure John will be willing to share more information on that, but look forward to it.
And this is just this is maybe a culmination of sort, because Touridge has had some fantastic last few years with great successes on the PGA Tour, especially the Champions Tour, and who knows who else is using Touridge clubs under those, under those covered heads.
Yeah, it's so true. Actually, now that you point it out, I bet there's even more than we estimate. And of course, I just told you guys before the show that my bestie, basically my buddy Kaz. Hey, Kaz, happy golfing, buddy. He just loaded up. This was his summer for Touridge. And when I suggested that you guys might be joining the show, he was a little more than ticked off that I hadn't mentioned it beforehand, that I had a connection. But he was so excited for his summer of golf because he had gotten the clubs that he wanted.
That's it. So, John, tell us.
Hi, John. Welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us.
The biggest launch
Gentlemen,
in 34 years for Touridge.
Good morning from beautiful sunny Chicago on this fine Wednesday morning, and hello and good morning to everyone in Canada and listening around the world. Great to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Thank you.
These guys are chomping at the bit over here. There must be some big news coming out. John, can you please take the tension out of the room, maybe pop it with a pin here, and start to give us a little bit of an update and some a look at the horizon for what you guys have coming up. Everybody seems to be on bated breath at the moment.
Well, our company has been on a renaissance or somewhat of a rebirth the last couple of years. Our company has a fabulous 34-year history, founded here in Chicago. We're still owned by the same guy who founded the company. We're still one of the sole private-owned golf companies left in the mainstream hardware business. And we've really, turned a significant corner in the last couple of years. And, there's a host of reasons for that. But, principally, we've always made fantastic, we've been a very product-driven company. David, our founder and president, is also the chief designer. But, we kind of made some significant investments in the business a couple of years ago. And, it's really starting to pay off for us in some, taking product to different levels. And I think what's really cool and unique about Touridge is that, we make products for every single player in the market. So we have our Touridge Exotics line for the premium player and played on tour by the likes of Tom Lehman and current Schwab Cup champion Scott McCarron. We make a fabulous mid-range line of product, which we're particularly excited to talk about today under the Touridge Hot Launch branch. And, we recognize in the market that there's players, in all different segments. And we really felt 3 or 4 years ago when we sat down and looked at the business that guy or gal in the middle of the market probably wasn't getting the attention that they really deserved, where, they could have access to a full line of premium quality product with full custom fit options available, yet at a price that was more fitting or in relation to where those people were in life in terms of demographics, et cetera. And, value for money has always been a cornerstone of our company, but, we've really brought it to another level. And of course, then we make a full range of get into the game products, entry-level bags and package sets and junior sets for first-time kids. And so we really have an extensive line. But the really exciting news, and I think the biggest development in our company over the last couple of years, is we've made some significant investments, as I mentioned, in our R&D department. For instance, we used to contract out all our robot testing. We spent $300,000 and bought that all in-house. We've employed 2 new engineers in our R&D area in CAD design. And so one of the direct and immediate benefits of that is a bit of a change in philosophy, where we're now cascading some of our technology that we've developed and learned from our exotics business. Again, as I mentioned, played by McCarron and Lehman and Petrovic, etc. on the Champions Tour, but also over the years. Claudio, you referred to some products under the head covers. I mean, we've had fantastic support from players, be it from Matt Kuchar to Brandt Snedeker, who've played our fairway wood without payment for many, many years in the past. But what we've really taken a step forward, and we touched on earlier, we've just introduced, or in the process, November 1 is the official launch date of shipment to retail here in North America. A new hot launch range of product, which is the most advanced, the most progressive, the most specifically designed for purpose for the inverted commas for the average player that needs as much help as they can to maximize their enjoyment from their golf. So the 521 series product takes a lot of the technological advancements we've made with exotics, such things as our diamond face variable face thickness, our sound engineering with acoustic bars within the head. So we're now bringing some of that technology we originally developed in exotics and bringing it down into our hot launch line, resulting in even better quality, better performing product. And the line is really broken into 2 ranges. We have an E range of product, E standing there for extreme game improvement. So full hollow iron sets, offset fairways and drivers to help guys and gals that slice the ball a little bit. It really designed for the person that needs the maximum possible help they can to hit better shots to enjoy their golf. And then our C line of product, and C stands for competition. So that range is specifically designed, and without putting too specific a handicap range on it, it's kind of for the 8 to 20 markers, more competitive players. They probably play more competitive weekly golf. But again, spending $2,000 or $3,000 on a set of golf club is beyond their, desire. So, previously they've been somewhat uncatered for, particularly in the custom fit market. So for about $1,200 roughly, they can buy premium quality, designed for purpose, high technology product that, for all intents and purposes, will perform just like product that's costing twice as much. So we headed down this road 3 years ago, and we have virtually doubled the business year on year over the last 3 years in that particular product line. So the market's giving us that feedback back that this is terrific. There is a demand for it. And we're stepping into a really nice place. So for all of our partners around the world, like Don up in Canada, it's been a great partnership, and we're all pretty excited about the success we're currently having.
So this is first of all an amazing lineup of product, because what you guys have done is you've created golf for everyone. It's accessible to kids right through premium players. And then to bring it all in-house, to have that kind of control on development of new product, does that seem to quicken the process for you guys? Does it mean more new leading-edge product will begin to come out because it can be done faster in-house?
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, most people that visit visit us here in Chicago are often amazed that we produce the width of product and the quality of product that we actually do. And I think the key difference is the fact that, really you've got a bunch of, really motivated people who've been here a long time and are really in it for the golf as much as they are in for the business. I touched on that, we're still a privately held company from a guy who founded it 34 years ago. If I ran through our 4 or 5 most senior people in the company, our VP of finance, operations, I mean, these guys have all been with the company 26, 27, 28 years. So, you really have a very cohesive team of people that, when working in one direction, it's amazing what you can achieve. And
So true.
I joined the business here in North America just coming up on 3.5 years ago now. But I, like Don, had a long history with Touridge as back in Australia. I was a distributor just like Don is, where I had a company where most of the North American brands who weren't quite large enough to put a subsidiary company into the Australian market worked through my business. So I've worked with Touridge for nearly 13 years back in Australia. So my total involvement with the company is pretty close to pushing 20 years now. So after I sold that business, I was lucky enough to be asked by David to come over to North America and help with the endeavors here. And it's been a very successful 3 or 4 years. And in simple terms, we like to say that Touridge has always had a fantastic back end of the business, our product and operations. And, we've really taken a step forward in the front end of our business of sharpening up our sales, sharpening up, who are we making product for? What are we making it for them? Why, what do they need? And I think we've taken a significant step forward, I should say, in sharpening up those parts of the business. And we're reaping the rewards as a result.
Well, I don't know if there's anybody who's been more excited than me to read about the launch of the 521 series, because as Don will tell you, and if I haven't told you, John, before, the very first Hot Launch 3 driver that I received is still in my bag today since that day. And I have had the EXS driver, and I have played rounds with 2 drivers in my bag. I've taken it to the point where I can play with either driver, whether it's 1 week at a time, a month at a time, switch them out every day, switch them out every second hole, which I have done. The Hot Launch 3 driver always ends up in my bag as my go-to.
It is an amazing thing. And while I'm not an engineer, I do spend a lot of time with our engineers. And it's incredible, the learning of, as you head up the price or the fine-tuning pyramid where we're making drivers for tour professionals, designing golf clubs is really just a combination of trade-offs that, if you want to move a little bit of weight forward to maybe lower launch a little bit or lower spin, there is a trade-off to that, it makes the forgiveness or your MOI reduces a little bit. So part of the success of the Hot Launch range is the fact that, we're making high performance clubs, but are extremely forgiving. So knowing who we're making the club for is really what enables our engineers to dial in the level of forgiveness that player needs and all of the things that you experience from Hot Launch 3 all the way up to the new 521. And sometimes the more expensive clubs, in fact, most times, are actually harder to use. They're designed for a finer level of performance and technique and all of those sorts of things. So, yeah, it's pretty cool.
It's hard for people to admit that they're just not good enough to play with what the guys on TV are playing with, isn't it?
Yeah, but if you draw parallels to lots of other different sports, I mean, putting money to one side for a second, but if you're driving around Toronto and you're driving 3 miles into work each day, buying a high performance Ferrari at the end of the day, while it might feel nice, it's a bloody terrible car to drive to and work each day when it's all said and done. And, golf clubs are in some degree parallel to that, finding something that's a little bit easier, a little more reliable, et cetera, et cetera. So lots of different parallels we could make with that one, Claudio.
Funny that you tapped on reasonable there, because one of the points that I wanted to make was you can accessibility based on price to this line of clubs, whether it be for the youth or, you know, a new hot dynamic club coming out. You seem to enter the marketplace reasonably priced every time.
Yeah, well, I think that's all about, you know, engineering to a cost, and I often draw it. There's an exponential line you can draw of, as you engineer up and up and up, the for every dollar you spend in club componentry, that the benefits get less and less and less. And so it's kind of finding that nice balance point that, you know, making a good quality product, but not overly investing engineering that for the player who's going to be using this club, you're ultimately not providing the benefit. I mean, the average weekend warrior, they're going out with his mates to play on a weekend, having fun. I mean, at the end of the day, he's not really that concerned whether he lowers his spin by 200 RPM. Let's face it. He wants to go out, whack it. He wants it to go a mile, and he wants to have fun. And so, again, I come back to that, you know, engineering to the purpose and to the price point makes a hell of a lot of sense.
Well, I don't know which one is going to be right for me. I know which one's right for you, Mike, the extreme game improvement. But if we do take our shows on the road, we are going to have to all be suited up with Team Touridge.
I'm not opposed, by the way, to using the clubs that best suit my lack of ability.
There you go.
Well, no, I mean, I wish I could say that and be joking about it, but like you point out, I want to hit the ball.
You can have the E series because they have the Houdini sole.
Yeah.
And, you know, Houdini can get out of anywhere, and you might have to get out of places, you know, like that.
Historically,
Claudio,
that's true.
You're working beautifully there, Claudio.
You like that, do you?
You know, but that's also, we have another great saying here that the E series line, the 521 E series irons, our hollow ironwoods. I mean, if we didn't have egos, we all should be using them. I mean, they are a demonstrably easier club for the average player that, you know, unless you're playing, you know, high-level tournament golf, everyone from a 5 handicap below should be using that style of club. But, you know, ego, status, and all the other.
I was going to point that out. In this room, I'm the guy without the ego, and that's why I would use those clubs. Is that what you're thinking?
No.
No, really, I just needed my game.
Yeah.
He's just politely telling you you're not very good.
No, don't.
Well, he's told me that he sucks.
No. It is not something that I'm ashamed of because I haven't had the time to put in, you know, raising kids and running business. But at this point in my life, I don't want to hit the course and have a disastrous experience. I'd rather get out there with the bit of knowledge I have, using the right clubs, and enjoy myself. And that's what I think you get out of this.
Yeah, but
Mike, that's the golfer that Hot Launch is really all about. Or it might be a senior guy who's played a lot of golf in his younger years, but has lost a little bit of strength, is in retirement. I mean, Hot Launch is a perfect golfer for that demographic as well. And look, to the one last point, I mean, we couldn't do this if we didn't have our exotics line. As I mentioned, you know, if you weren't fueling all of that R&D and technological development up at that top end of the market, you know, we wouldn't have access to that to make it so good in the Hot Launch product. And I think that's something that's really quite unique about Touridge and, you know, enables us to do things that perhaps other companies are not.
Let's have a look at the future. You talk about this renaissance that has occurred, which is perfect timing in an era where everybody's getting out to golf just to have a change of scenery, and there's a lot of new golfers in the marketplace out there. What are you seeing as we head into 2021 and beyond for Touridge?
Well, the crystal ball is probably not as sharp as it has been. It's been a really interesting. I mean, it's been a crazy 12 months in the golf industry, and I'm sure anybody you talk to will support that. All in the industry in March and April, and with this terrible COVID situation that we're dealing with, we're scratching our heads, thinking, you know, how in the life of it are we going to actually get through this year? And then 2 months later, all of a sudden, people realize, hey, being outside is good. I've got more time than I've ever had. What am I going to do? I can't go to the pub and have 4 beers with my mates. It's closed. I got to do something Saturday afternoon. And all of a sudden, we've seen an absolute explosion in participation all around the world. In my role, I deal with lots of different countries. So whether we're talking about Australia or the UK or Canada, we've seen this global phenomenon of people getting back to golf, and it's coming from some really interesting places. It's young people in their 20s to 30s. It's the other classic time poor, as you mentioned, Mike. You know, I've got a couple of young kids. I'm in my late 30s. I mean, the chances of me getting out on weekends are, you know, somewhere between 0 and nothing. But you know what, the new world in which we're living has created is a little bit more time, more people working at home. So I'm saving that 45-minute commute each way. I've got time to go to the driving range. So we are now seeing business go to the opposite end of the spectrum, where right now supply is extremely difficult. And in all parts of the world, we've seen an explosion in sales of junior sets and get into the game package sets, et cetera, et cetera. And, you know, the crystal ball kind of suggests that, well, you know, that should hold through the first half of next year. I mean, the world is going to be a different place until, you know, certain other factors enable us to get on top of this COVID situation. And then our longer term forecasting is that, look, most of these people will have had a pretty good experience. And if we could keep if we could keep a quarter of this new participation level, that can only be a fantastic thing for golf, and particularly for our company, which has got a particularly strong focus on that, you know, get into the game, or that middle level player product, where, you know, this resurgence of new entrants into those categories can only bode very well for us. So we're planning on a very big 2021. We're investing more and more. We hopefully have some exciting news in regards to our player roster for next year coming up. So we are, you know, full steam ahead. A new exotics line for the spring of next year is the best we've ever done by a dramatic, you know, a quantum leap particularly in the iron area. We're very excited about that. So, you know, we're you know, what do they say? Every cloud has a silver lining. So
yeah, you know, it's almost, people feel shame, I think, a little bit in saying, wow, no, COVID worked out in my industry really well, but COVID needed golf. You know, it, like you point out, suddenly we had more time. Suddenly we wanted to be outdoors. All of those things, golf gave back to COVID more than it gained, I promise you. And I'm glad to hear that it made such an impact on the business, as you point out. And by the way, he alludes to my sponsor endorsement for the Houdini Club, which John, just so you know, you got my verbal. I'm signed on. It's all good.
We'll make sure that happens, Mike.
yeah, I'm sure we can.
Well, this is
Is that the only thing that'll keep you out of trouble, I guess?
I guess maybe, right? It's a possibility. I think it's really interesting to get the perspective from you on what's happened with the business over the last few years, engineering-wise, the change in the marketplace, and then a look ahead. It actually is very informative overall to the golf industry, because it does seem that this could be a newly created world of players that just maybe wouldn't have got access before, but because of the access to time, the desire for family to be together, more of the mentoring, more of the actual time in the course is taking place that will have effect for years to come.
You know, it feels to me, I've been in the business since, well, early 80s, before we started golf trends. And I used to travel around, and the golf courses now remind me of the way they were in the late 80s and through the 90s. People are just crazy about golf, and that's going to continue, I'm sure. Like John says, we may not keep all of them, but we'll keep a good percentage. People will realize how much fun golf is, and this bodes well for the future.
I think it really does, yeah. John, thank you so much for the update, and of course, for joining us on the show. We are delighted to have the line of product alongside our efforts to get out there and reach an audience. So we appreciate that, and I look forward to an update as we get closer to the next golf season up here, on how things are going and what new club might actually get me closer to the green.
Terrific, gents. Thanks for having me. It's been great to be here, and regards to all up in Canada.
Thank you. I'm glad you mentioned that there's a new line of exotics irons, because I was becoming concerned as to whether I needed to change my my handle from Captain Exotics Canada to Captain Hot Launch or something like that.
Well, you might have to alternate daily. You might be Captain Hot Launch one day to Captain Exotics the next.
I do love that you've taken those names, but the handles, I'll be honest with you, just this side of creepy.
You think I should just stick to Traveling Golfer?
Stay with that one.
All right.
Thanks so much, John.
Thanks very much, John.
Good on you guys. Have a great day.
You too.
Just a really cool bit of insight into, I mean, Don, you must enjoy this as well, getting some insight in how one of your suppliers is forwarding the product. In this case, engineering in-house seems to be the big play. Fascinating, though.
Yeah, they've been progressing really quickly, and I think John is a big addition to the team. The engineering side, of course, falls under David Glod, and the two new engineers that they've introduced, or hired, I guess, they came out with a nice new putter line called the Wingman just last spring, and it has the highest MOI of any putter in golf. So,
Excellent.
And what do they say? Everybody needs a wingman.
So true, actually. The slogan was built in before they came up with the product. I promise you that.
I just had to jump on it before you did.
Yeah, I've been using that putter. I really like it, but unfortunately, Captain Exotics won't be able to experience it. He plays right-handed, but he putts left-handed, and we don't have a left-handed version yet. So
Let's never call him Captain Exotics again. Let's just never do. Well, Don, listen, we're delighted to have Golf Trends on, because such an amazing wide variety of product will be presented to our listeners, and then even given away to them.
Yes.
And touch on a couple of them, like just to give us an idea. You've got everything from sunglasses to bags to clubs. Give me a couple of sweet spots.
Well, one of our newer lines is the Sureshot Laser, and they've just come out with a GPS watch, which looks to be really exceptional. And again, at reasonable price points. We also carry the Bag Boy line of golf carts, the Nitron golf cart that opens on its own. It's kind of
cool.
It's very cool.
It really is quite a golf cart. They have a huge line of quality golf bags at price points that make sense. They're very big in travel covers, although that we're not doing too much in that line right now.
But we do need to protect our valuable cargo when we travel, and the traveling golfer is all about traveling.
Yep.
Yeah, Claudio's been using a Bag Boy travel cover, I think, for the last 10 years or so.
How about millions of miles?
Does have stickers all over it, like those oldie time suitcases when people traveled?
You can't have stickers anymore because now they scan everything, right? So too many stickers spoils the scan, and then your stuff goes missing.
Stay sticker free.
That's worse.
To 2023. That's my slogan.
Worse than COVID.
There you go. Okay, well, look, Don, this is great. We're going to have a great deal of fun passing some of this product along. And then, of course, if you need access to more information about it, travelinggolfer.net.
That's it. And we're going to have Don back again. We might even have, who knows, we may even have another special guest come on. But
excellent.
Yeah,
thanks for bringing John on. That was really cool.
Yeah, he's a great guy. And, he knows what's going on behind the scenes. So it's nice to get that shared.
That was a cool perspective. You're right.
And for Touridge, pound for pound, nothing else comes close.
Okay, well, there you go. Somewhere. That's a good endorsement right there. Find out more in future episodes about what product is out, and we'll continue, as I pointed out before, we'll continue to give you the gears. Thanks, Don.
Gears.
Thanks very much, guys.
All right.
Once again, delighted to have alongside us and on the team with us the wonderful people at Touridge, along with the amazing folks at Golf Trends. That he's such a good guy, and then he's always got these great products that are wide in range. It's not just clubs; it's all the stuff that golfers need. So great to have them on the team.
I think we'll be touching on sunglasses at some point in time. That Vigor line is pretty exciting.
So access to all of this stuff through a bunch of contests that we will have, not just here on the podcast, but also on travelinggolfer.net. So make sure that you add that to your bookmarks and head back often, not just for this show, but for some great contests.
That's right.
And product reviews.
Product and wine reviews.
Oh, that reminds me. We got to go to the wine cellar. Why don't we do that right now?
Let's go.
Okay, what do we have today?
Go.
Now, this is a catch-up because we struck it from one of our shows doing the wine cellar. We always try to get this in because Claudio has an amazing perspective on wine and spirits, and alongside cooking, as we talked about off the air here, you're quite the chef. So to get that perspective from you after a game of golf, a nice meal and a nice bottle of wine, and that's why we do this. But this one particular wine segment we had planned for another show, and we had to remove it. And so here it is today. What do we got?
Here it is. Well, we're going to go to a wine that I never thought I would go to again after my first experience.
Why?
Because it was blah. Right?
Oh.
Yeah, blah. It was a rosé.
Yeah.
And I was kind of excited about this rosé because it was highly recommended. Took it to a dinner party, and it fell flatter than it tasted.
Oh.
Yeah, so I never thought I would have it a rosé again as just a wine. I like it in bubbles, but not so much.
Overall, you're not headed to the rosé section.
I am now.
What'd you find?
I was reintroduced to rosé and came across a couple of really fine ones. And you know what? I have decided that you just don't have to drink rosé in the summer or when it's hot or whatever, but as just any old pre-meal, because you always like to start a good meal with a drink of some kind. And so it could be rosé. It doesn't have to be bubbles.
Totally.
So anyways, it's very light. It's very refreshing. And it kind of makes you feel like you ate a bowl of fruit.
Well, that's all right.
And it's healthy if it's fruit, right?
Look, we're not doctors. We should say that at this point. But it sounds okay to me. What's the wine? You have
okay.
3 different ones, you said?
I just have a couple here that
Okay.
I want to tell you about. But the one thing so there is some rosé that just doesn't cut it, right?
yeah.
So if you've never tried it before, stick to the French from Provence. It's the region of France. So if you get the rosés from there, you're more than likely going to have something that you really like. So 2 that I have found, they come in really sexy bottles. So,
No.
Yeah. One's called Cartenoir. It would be the curvy bottle.
Mm-hmm.
And the other one's just called Berne, Berne, and it's in a square bottle.
I've seen Burn on the shelves before.
So, yeah. And if you want to collect cool bottles and drink some nice wine that you don't have to have just when it's hot, try it.
What are these coming in at price-wise?
$20. $20 range.
Reasonable.
Very reasonable.
So even if you don't like rosé, it's worth giving it a try and leaving the bottle on the table if somebody else doesn't like it. But at least you're coming in on a couple of good starts to the rosé family.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then if they don't like it, you can always say, well, look at the curves on that.
That's a good point. Buy a couple of glasses of wine in, those curves look curvier. I know how it goes.
Exactly.
People, you can find out more about what's going on in the wine cellar at travelinggolfer.net. If people want to make a recommendation, can they just reach out to you via email?
Absolutely. Just go to the website, find the email, send it along.
Yeah, that's a great way to get recommendations, and they will be taken seriously, I promise you.
Absolutely. I will try them.
All right. Hey, listen, thanks for joining us today. Don't forget to subscribe to the show. Take a look for some upcoming contests at travelinggolfer.net and in the descriptions right here at the bottom of the show when you downloaded it. Thanks for joining us. We'll catch you next time.